Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we have another video. And you can see here on the clip that I'm showing to you, I'm actually moving my plants from the watering basin that I have here because I had them watered last night and it was already early in the morning. I was delayed, so now I'm moving them. And what I noticed this morning while I was moving them is that I was seeing that the sunlight was rising in a different way that I was expecting it, because back in before fall, probably it was still summer, late summer, the sun was actually moving in a different way. It was very even back then on all the sides of the greenhouse, but now it's not. So you can see here on the clip that the sun is actually more directed towards the left side of the greenhouse and not on the right side. If you're facing the door, it's on the left side. So I started moving my succulents this morning, my echeverias, to the sunny part of the greenhouse, and hopefully they will do better. And now I thought that it would be a nice topic, a nice idea to make a video about, because I also recently had a comment on the channel which one of our viewers had their succulent for 3 years and then it suddenly died. So I'm actually trying to solve that problem as well, sudden death on succulents. So now while we're moving our succulents, I'll be giving you some tips on how to avoid that. I actually listed 3 different tips, but as we're going about the tips, I'll be showing you how I will be rearranging the greenhouse. I think we will start with these ones. These are newly watered. These are some of my other newly watered succulents, so I think I will move them here because this is already the sunny side of the greenhouse. Okay, my sedums. So actually sedums are very sun demanding plants, and they were in a shaded spot right there, probably why they're etiolating. So now I'm gonna move them to a sunnier position. I'm actually planning to reset this soon because you can see all the dead stems we have there. So yeah, that's not good looking. So we have still these healthy stems up top. So I watered it last night. I'm gonna wait for it to dry out and we'll be resetting these, repotting them again so that they look better. They don't look good that way. So you can see here, this used to be my aloe and haworthia section, but now the haworthias are already on this side. So I moved some of them, and yeah, we have these grassulas right there, are stinky. These are all succulents that don't demand a lot of sunlight. They can be in a bright shaded area. So I was actually also wondering why some of my haworthias were not plumping up, were not growing. Actually now they're growing because it's very shady, very cloudy here in my area. Some of them are getting more plump. That haworthia truncata should be more plump than that. So I'm thinking because I was not conscious about their area being very sunny. So now I'm planning to move them all there because I want them to grow. Of course, they're not full sun succulents. So this one getting plump a bit. Okay, we're gonna put it here. There you go. So now what I would say is, if you're growing succulents for a long time and if you've had experience with succulents dying, yeah, that's one tip that I will give you. Check their microclimate, if their microclimate changed, because you might not be able to see. You might think that, oh, this part of the house is very sunny, but you may not be able to see it if you're not gonna spend time on your greenhouse. So what I did earlier this morning, the time that I usually move my plants become delayed, so I was late. Because of that delay, because I was late, I was able to see the sunlight on this greenhouse, because I usually don't spend time here when it's sunny. So now I wasn't actually very sure of how the sun rises. And now because it's already transitioning to fall, the sun naturally will change direction. So if you change your schedule of visiting your greenhouse, you might be able to see if their microclimate is changing. So now because this spot becomes more sunnier, so now I'm gonna move the echeverias over there. And because a lot of my echeverias actually are not developing very quickly, some of them are just staying stagnant. They weren't growing. Like this one, it was dropping a lot of leaves, so I repotted it. Okay, and some of them are growing. This one, really nice growth on that one. The champagnes are slow growers, but you can see they're still alive, each one of them. The other agaboides we have there. Okay, so now if your succulents, echeverias are not doing anything, you might want to change their microclimate, because if they're not developing and you suddenly water them, sometimes it will cause their sudden death. So which is why I would also say that if you're noticing your plant getting dormant or it's not developing a lot really for a long time, that means that it might be dormant, and that can easily become a sudden death situation. So check if your plants are developing, make sure that you can try to make them develop again. I have my video on slowed growth on succulents, how you can amend that, so you can watch that. Now Haworthias, in comparison with aloes, they like much more shadier situations. Aloes like it a little bit sunnier because aloes can stretch. So we should move this into a sunnier position. Okay, I'm running out of places. Okay, here. This is a sunny spot. Okay, we're gonna be moving this one. Okay, we have a lot to move. Okay. So now while we're moving this, I'm gonna be sharing with you my second tip on avoiding sudden death. Look at the bloom stalk on that. Okay. So the second tip I have is to aerate your succulents soil. Now we already have our aeration with our pumice, and if you're adding perlite, then that's very good for aerating potting mixes. So if you've got perlite mixing, I have some succulents here with perlite. Some of my new plants have perlite in them. This is what perlite is. It's very good for aeration, but it's not a very cheap product. So if you're not a big succulent collector, or if you're not collecting very expensive ones, then this might not be very affordable for you. But if you're a big succulent collector, you might want to try investing in those. So aeration is very important to avoid getting root rot on your succulents. I have some succulents here. This one, this Mendoza, let me just show it to you. It's not really a problematic succulent, but I'm thinking that it will be soon. So you can see here. Okay, that's the root mass of the succulent right there. Okay, you can see the root mass, and you can see that once succulents develop a lot, the root mass will become very hard. They will become rock-like, so water will not easily penetrate those, and if water does manage to penetrate, it will not be easy to go out. It will not easily be drying up because of the hardness of the potting mix around the roots. So that happens with old succulents. So what we can do is to aerate them. Now I'm not gonna be aerating this one because this is still wet. We want to try aerating succulents that are dry. So let me just find an example here. These had already been planted here for a very long time. This Echeveria melaco. We already had beheaded this one. That's the head. It got infested with insects, with mealybugs, so I repotted it, and I'm hoping that it can still survive. But we have new growth on these ones, on our beheaded melaco, and now it's kind of root bound. So what you can do to aerate the soil is you can pinch it like this. Okay, so if you pinch it, you will loosen the soil of your succulents so that they have more air and more faster drying out times. So it will not take long to dry out because you have more, you're making more air bubbles in their pot, in their potting mix. Other websites that I've checked with aerating the soil of your plants, they recommend using a chopstick like this to punch holes into your soil, so you don't worry about damaging the roots, because that's actually what you're doing. You're trying to loosen up the roots of your plant so that they will have more air and they will dry out faster. So that's the goal. So that's aeration for kind of pot-bound plants. Okay, so now if you've got issues with your plants not developing and they're already in a sunny position, and you think they have enough pumice in their pots, so if your succulent is very old, probably a long time succulent of yours, and it suddenly stopped growing it stopped development, then that's the time you may want to try repotting them. So that's the third and final tip I have. I have a lot of succulents here newly repotted because they're not developing anymore. So we have that is newly potted. We have this one potted in a bigger pot. Okay, I have a lot of succulents over here that I recently repotted. This one is a problematic one. Okay, I have other ones. This one repotted because it's no longer growing anymore. So now also another reason that you might want to try repotting, because the old soil that it was in no longer has nutrients in its soil. It's like it drained all of the nutrients on its old potting mix, and the organic materials it has is just completely dry. Like it doesn't absorb, retain water anymore, so it's no longer providing nourishment for the plant. So the plant is no longer developing. So that's what happens with old potting mix, which is why you might want to try repotting very old succulents if they stop developing. So succulents are really vigorous growers if the conditions are ideal for them, if they're in a proper potting mix with plenty of sunlight, and if the roots can breathe, then they can grow a lot very quickly. But once they become root bound on their potting mix, they will stop growing. So there will always come to a point when a plant will stop developing. So that time, if it stops developing, you might want to try aerating the soil or repotting the succulent right away. Now also, the tips that I shared with you doesn't include my tips on insect, pests, or solving rot, because what I'm trying to share with you is sudden death without seemingly no cause. So without visible cause right away on the plant, so that may cause sudden death. But if your plant is getting infestation, then that is not a sudden death situation. Okay, if it's getting mealybugs, then you might want to try solving that, and your plant will not suddenly die on that. Now, just so as a sneak peek of what projects I'm planning to do next on the channel, I will be starting a propagation station. So these are my old propagations, my leaf propagations. Some of them are not looking good, probably because they're getting very shaded there. A lot of them are etiolating. Yep. So I'm gonna be moving that after I record this video, and I will be putting them in a much more brighter spot like here. And then I'm gonna be showing you how I propagate my succulents, and we'll be making a journey series on my propagation. I have my propagations right here. These are leaf propagations, those plants. These are stem propagations. This is beheaded. These are leaf propagations. So I'm actually getting more confident with my leaf propagation right now. I'm getting more success with them. So I'm planning to make another series of videos about leaf propagation. So you have to subscribe to stay posted on that so that you won't miss it. And we also have these new plants. I'm hoping to make care guide videos soon on these plants once I manage to get some experience with them. But before we end the video, I still encourage you to share your problems on your succulents on the comments of our comment section of our videos, because I'm reading the comments and I'm really trying to find solutions for your problems and also to make them as video ideas soon, because I don't think that replying by comments will be enough to answer some of your problems. I think it would be nice to show a visual answer to your questions on the comments. So I will try to make videos on your comments if you really have a specific problem on your succulent. But I think that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you like it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.